humanity. My name is Kashmir Zahur, and I greet you all with the Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be with you all. Welcome to the first one-of-a-kind, not-in-our-name protest and demonstration against ISIS and military groups that terrorize in the name of our religion, Islam. On behalf of the Irish Muslim Peace and Integration Council, I welcome each and every one of you from all faiths and no faiths, backgrounds and all traditions to this unique demonstration. We will have some short speeches by influential imams from Ireland. These imams are community leaders. They represent the Muslim community in the areas they serve.
Boko Haram are blood-sucking, ignorant, terrorists, and they don't represent us. They don't represent the community of Muslims in Nigeria living in Highland. They are not part of us. They are not us. They are not part of us. They are not we. They are not peaceful. They are not part of me. The Boko Haram, they are not Islam. Islam is not Boko Haram. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifuna. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Let me tell you, these countries in which Christians are not allowed to build churches, in which Christians are being prosecuted, people of other faiths are being prosecuted, these countries in no way represent the Islam of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. These countries do not represent. If you want to know what Islam is, please go and pick up the Quran. Go and read the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. Go and sit in the company of the ulama, the traditional scholars, and a traditional scholarship, and learn from them what Islam is. Please do not learn about Islam from the actions of these individuals. Unfortunately, one of the reasons we are doing this protest is also that due to the actions of these individuals, not only are they harming our faith, at the same distorting our faith, many people who haven't met Muslims, who haven't interacted with Muslims, they assume because the information they have comes from the media, and unfortunately these lunatics make most headlines. People assume Muslims are terrorists. Today, this afternoon when we came here, there was an old lady, 80 years old, approximately, an elderly lady. She saw the poster and she then saw me and she questioned me. She said, are we safe in Ireland? And she said, my grandchildren are being brought up. I want to know, are we safe in Ireland? That is a question that is in the minds of many Irish people. And it's our duty as Muslims to tell them, our children are being brought up here. Our grandchildren are going to live here. So we want to tell everyone that we also want to ensure that Ireland remains a peaceful country. We also want to ensure that no one, not a single person, is a victim of extremism, radicalization in the name of any religion, and particularly in the name of our religion, Islam. So I told her, yes, you're absolutely, we are doing our best. And this is one of the chain events that we are doing to ensure that we fight and combat extremism and radicalization. Also at the same time, I would like to tell you that this ISIS, all these extreme militants, one has to question, why is it that they only came into existence now? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, how come they only came into existence now? We find the answer into the fact that there is injustice in the world. There are dual standards when we talk about foreign policy. Yes, we find certain Muslim nations waiting for justice for almost 70, 80 years, but they have not been given justice. We find that Muslim countries are being invaded in the name of protecting humanity against terrorism, to safeguard mankind from so-called weapons of mass destruction. And we find countries being invaded and millions of innocent people being killed in the name of war against terrorism. These ISIS Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram only came into existence after these injustices. So if we want to really annihilate radicalism, extremism, and ensure that we all in the world live in a peaceful world, we have to make sure the world is a just world. We live in a world where there is justice for everyone, whether you are a European or whether you are someone from another continent of the world. So we have to look at the grievances of the Muslim world. And let me tell you that no grievance is justification. There is no justification for terrorism. There is no excuse for terrorism. Violence in our religion has been forbidden. No matter how much injustice is being done to you, you are not allowed to respond with violence, because the Prophet of Islam is an example for us. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was prosecuted. He was religiously prosecuted, and he had to go from Mecca to Medina. And the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, at that time, he was religiously prosecuted, and he was given the chance to take revenge, but he never took revenge. He forgave the people. Those that insulted him, mocked him, he forgave them. So we are following the footsteps of the Prophet. Those that assume we Muslims are against justice, against peace, and we are terrorists, we forgive them for that, because they don't know better. And we will respond to your call of hatred, your call of violence, your call. We will respond as the Prophet would do, with a call of dialogue. With a call of dialogue. We will not respond with violence. This is not our Islam. It is important that the Muslims in Ireland realize, when we can protest against caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, when we can protest against injustices by America or by the UK, we should be able to protest against ISIS also. Because the damage that ISIS is doing is not just killing Muslims, they are distorting the message of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If you like, to protect Islam, you will have to protect the teachings of Islam. And my dear brothers and sisters in humanity, more efforts against extremism in the name of Islam. And we want to ensure that in Ireland there is no radicalization. Those people who say there is no extremism in Ireland, I want to tell them, the Muslims that say so, that unfortunately you are not right. There is extremism, even if it is in a small percentage. Even among 50,000, if 100 Muslims support ISIS, it's a big problem. It's a big issue. We as Muslims should not remain silent on that. If there are people, and we have had the experience, some of our members from the Irish Muslim Peace and Integration Council went to a particular mosque. They went to 3-4 mosques. In one particular mosque, a group of our members of the council were distributing the flyers for today. 400 flyers were distributed. 395 flyers were received with acceptance, were received with understanding. But 5 flyers, when they were given, incidents took place. One of our members was physically assaulted by another Muslim person. Some members said, 3 individuals said, we are ISIS. Are you going to protest against us? This is what has happened yesterday. What does it tell us? It tells us, yes, there is a small percentage, even though it's maybe only 100. But we as Muslims, we must condemn them, and we must not remain silent. The mosques, the Islamic centers, the organizations, we should not ignore these, because these people are like an infection, are like a cancer. If you will remain silent, you will let them come in the mosque, and you will let them speak to the youth. You will let them expose to the youth, Muslim vulnerable youth. They will spread the cancer of extremism to the Muslim youth. They will spread radicalization to the Muslim youth. That is why the Irish Muslim community has to have a plan, has to have a strategy to prevent radicalization. Yes, now in Ireland, the chance is very minimum. The chance is very minimum. The community is different than the community in the UK. But who says that we won't be the same like the UK?
We are 50,000 now, but in 20 years we may be more. If we as Muslim communities do not now take a stand against extremism, radicalization, and have a strategy, a prevent strategy, a strategy that will prevent radicalization, then we may end up like the UK also. And that is our worry as Muslim leaders. That is our worry. And this is also why we are doing this protest. So on this protest, my brothers and sisters, we are launching the Imams, the organizations that are part of the Irish Muslim Peace and Integration Council. We are launching the Irish Muslim Declaration of Peace. Irish Muslim Declaration of Peace. What we as Muslims, what the teachings of Islam are in regards to peace. Please read this when you go back. And I want to just highlight some of the things that we are mentioning there. We, the signatories to this declaration, send a message of peace and fraternity to all communities and individuals in Ireland and abroad, along with a call for respect, dignity, compassion, equality, solidarity and justice for all, between all people. We reject all terrorism because at the heart of all religions is a belief in sanctity of the lives of the innocent. The indiscriminate nature of terrorism, which has in recent years killed far more civilians and other non-combatants than it has combatants, is un-Islamic, un-Judaic, Christian, and it is indeed incompatible with the true teachings of all faiths, because it manifestly indiscriminates and therefore murderous nature. We condemn all terrorism in all forms, in all countries, regardless of any claimed religious or political intentions. We also reject, disown, and condemn all terrorism committed in the name of Islam, just as we reject and condemn all terrorism committed in the name of other religions or causes. Terrorism is never a legitimate and honorable act of war, but is always a cowardly act of indiscriminate murder. Whereas we don't overlook the real or perceived grievances that may serve as a fuel for terrorist violence, and we call upon all national, local governments to address those grievances with hostile and resolve. We commit ourselves to the non-violent resolution of those issues, as well as to the removal, through education and dialogue, of conspiracy theories that blinker some people's world. We believe that the too long-running conflict between Israel and Palestine needs to be resolved urgently and with fairness. We call for the promotion of human rights, fundamental freedoms, equality between man and woman, and the cardinal values of humanity, such as reconciliation, forgiveness, generosity, and solidarity. We declare as Muslim scholars, all humans are equal and must be treated with equal respect, dignity, compassion, equality, solidarity, and injustice, irrespective of their faith, of their lifestyle, of their ethnic background, or of their political ideology. We condemn anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and all other forms of racism. We call on Muslims and other minorities living in Ireland to continue to respect all the laws of Ireland, whether they possess the status of citizen or resident. We call on the Muslims and other minorities in peace, want to live with peace, but their views are not represented in the media except in minority publications. And when we are offered a platform to speak, it is only in the context of debates on radicalism and terrorism. To prevent homegrown radicalism, we should stop creating such a climate of hysteria and drop the divisive theories. We need to engage in a more complex public discourse in the media. This requires engaging with the Irish Muslim communities. Imams, Muslim community leaders, and Islamic centers should condemn atrocities that are committed in the name of Islam and educate their congregations about the Islamic position of radicalism. Mosques and Islamic centers, and this is particularly addressing to the Muslim communities, what we should do. Mosques and Islamic centers should follow the example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and reach out to the non-Muslim communities and individuals through community iftar dinners, to mosque open days, seminars, and conferences. apologists and silent supporters of ISIS and any other terrorist group must be isolated in the community, and these people must not be ignored. Not be ignored. These apologists and silent supporters infect vulnerable Muslim youth with the radical ideology. We believe that silence on atrocities committed in the name of Islam is supporting the evil ideology of the terrorists. And we believe that the curriculums taught to the children in the mosques, in the madrasas, in the Islamic centers must be transparent, must be approved by the imams, must be approved by the management. And the curriculum should include how Islam teaches tolerance and respect for all religions, how Muslims should interact through dialogue with non-Muslims. It should teach importance of pluralism and the correct concept of jihad and the strong condemnation of terrorism in Islam. We also believe that the struggle against terrorism in the name of religion should not give any credence to an Islamic extremist ideology that claims that the West is evil and that we should be at war with non-Muslims. And lastly, mosques and Islamic centers that do not support protests against ISIS, like this protest, or a protest against any form of terrorism in the name of Islam, and fail to condemn atrocities in the name of Islam. During Friday lectures, the mosques that fail to address and condemn these during their Friday lectures, when the Muslim congregations are filling the mosques, these mosques should be questioned by an appropriate body that consists of representation from the mosques and Islamic organizations and representation from the government. That why are they not supporting such an initiative? Why are they silent? A particular mosque in Dublin did not allow the posters of this protest to be put on their notice board, while the same mosque has no issue with putting and announcing on a Friday a protest against the Chinese government, because the Chinese government stops people, Muslims, from fasting. And we are in support of such protests. We are in support of protests against Zionism, against the Israeli state when it oppresses our brothers and sisters and humans in Palestine. But we fail to understand why these Muslim organizations, mosques, are not allowing the posters to be put on their notice board. So these mosques should be questioned, because their silence by mosques, by these Islamic organizations, their silence creates ambiguity in the minds of the Muslims. This ambiguity is seen as an opportunity by extremists to radicalize Muslims. The mosques and Islamic centers that choose in Ireland. And if we at this stage, when the Muslim community is young, 50,000 people young, if we do not combat that radical approach into... Do you agree with that? Yes. And let's give them an applause. That is for the Irish public. The Irish people are one of the most friendliest. But having said so, it is our duty to ensure that they remain friendly. All your questions, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, each and every one of you, on behalf of the imams here, of the mosques here, the organizations that have supported this, because the weather here, the weather is a typical standard Irish weather. Yesterday, we had Arab weather. Yesterday, we had Asian weather. And today, because we are protesting in Ireland, the weather wanted to become Irish. But anyway, even despite the weather, so many of you are here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. I greet you with the Islamic greeting of peace once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And can I